Welcome to the True Wealth Project, where we talk business, real estate, and lifestyle on your way to building a wealthy life for generations to come. I'm your host, Sam Khairi, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is your host, Sam Khairi, on the True Wealth Project. And today I've got an amazing guest here, Lynch. JT and I met a couple years ago, and I've been bugging him quite a lot over the last few years on some properties that I've been looking at, and just continue to follow his stuff. And he's just a wealth of knowledge, and super helpful whenever I reach out. Just an amazing, all around amazing guy. Glad to have him on. JT, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise. Yeah, we've been working together for a long time, so yeah, it's great to be on here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick intro on JT. He's a commercial insurance broker with Ramy King Insurance. He holds certificates for commercial lines coverage specialist, as well as construction risk insurance specialist. Ramy King Insurance is an independent agency located in Denton, Texas since 1881. Wow.
Yeah, been a while.
They're a full service brokerage and can handle any business or coverage needed. They're licensed in all states and specialize in multifamily, commercial, retail, and rental property coverage. I mean, it's a pretty impressive resume, if I may add. But I do want to kick it over to you, JT. I do want to give you kind of a brief couple minutes, if you could introduce yourself and give us a little more information as to how you got here and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm an insurance broker, and we do more than just multifamily. A lot of people don't know that, but we can insure anything. I've got clients that have trucking companies, construction companies, you name it. But the majority of my clients are multifamily. I really do love the multifamily side. I love real estate. I'm learning right along with everybody else. I'm a passive investor as well. Would like to get more involved as my kids get older and I have a little bit more time. I'd like to take a bigger role into some projects, but it's the only thing that made money for me last year. My IRAs lost money. My kids' Vanguard college savings accounts lost money. Those are supposed to be the safest things ever. So I'm glad that I found this space. I love the multifamily family, and it's a great place to be. I started out in personal lines, and it just really wasn't for me. I'm more of a relationship minded individual, and I don't like the way of I help you out with home and auto, great, you're very happy, that's awesome. I'm quickly moving on to the next because I have to. You have to do that to survive. And I may not talk to you again, maybe not even at renewal, depending on how the organization's structured. So that's really not the way that I like to operate. And so once I met Jeff King, he told me, no, we've got a position for you. You're going to like this a lot better. And boy, was he right. It's definitely better. It's challenging. It's always changing. But the relationships I made along the way are definitely worth it. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I could definitely attest to that. And you've been helpful to many of us in the industry, whether just starting out or have thousands of units under management. I mean, you're one thing I will say is you're very quick in your response, and I can't tell you enough how amazing that is. Just knowing that when something goes out, and you may not even know the urgency, right? It just comes right back, and that's one of the things that I can always count on you. The number of times that I've reached out, but that's much appreciated.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's something I really pride myself on. I can't stand it when you send an email out and what's going on with this? Are they even working? What's going on? And it kind of gives me anxiety when there's stuff in my inbox. So I try to get to things as fast as I can, to help everybody out. As soon as you get as much information as you can, then you can move to the next step. Maybe, decide that, what we were thinking is, we need to move from this property for whatever reason. And the sooner you know that, the better you can underwrite and get these deals done.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. So I do want to kind of start there. Maybe so I've got a few questions in mind,
Sure.
and just kind of start from basics and kind of work our way up to current state, if you would, right? One of the things that we all, we're always underwriting properties, talking to brokers, looking at deals, right? And we always make assumptions on specific items, whether it's interest rates or, occupancy and expenses and things like that, right? I mean, one of the things that I've heard people don't do a good job of is they don't necessarily go out and get, they don't reach out in time, right? It's whether it's, they're just, too shy, they don't have the right, connections or whatever the case is, right? So based on your experience and where you sit, like how early would you want to get involved? And, is any point in time, is it too early or is it too late? Like, where would you like to be inserted into the process?
Are you talking about like a new sale process?
Let's say we're getting into a new sale. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Man, as early as possible. My favorite, clients and teams are the ones that kind of all meet at an event. They're putting their team together. We start talking back and forth. I talk to them about what I do, how it can help them, and then quickly. Maybe I introduced them to a lender as well. And we all, you can just see the team building up. You can see emails going back and forth with different, vendors on it and team members before they've even looked at a property, and what that does is it allows you to have this team of professionals that you've allocated, certain aspects to. And as soon as you find the right deal, you've already got that team placed and you're 3 steps ahead of everybody else. I know that everybody likes to shop around for different things, but really find your trusted professional, somebody that you like, that will do a good job, that has been doing it for a while, and have that as your team member, and just going forward, let's go find these deals. This is my team and this is how we take it down. A lot of relationships just can't be built that way, and I understand. So the other way is, before you even submit an LOI, send me over the rent roll, the T12 and the OM of the property you're looking at, and I will send you a free insurance estimate to help with your underwriting. That's as early as I like to be involved. A lot of times I've already looked at this property before, or we currently insure it, or I've got some other information from it. But that as early as you can, that's usually the best bet.
No, that's great, because it's like I mentioned earlier, like you're just quick enough that it comes right back, right? I mean, it's a lot of times you like you said, you might even have already existing information on it, right? It's obviously you're not going to say yay or nay on whether we should buy the property or not, but at least you can give us a really good idea of some of the things to look out for, and whether it's things that are going to potentially be a problem or otherwise. I mean, it's great to not just have the numbers, and I know you've kind of gone in depth in some of the properties that I've sent you, right? Mm-hmm. It's not just here's your number, right? It's a little more detailed than that, like kind of doing some more due diligence on your end. Is like looking at the property, seeing where it is, some of the things to look out for, and just kind of giving that perspective of what to look out for as we move forward.
Yeah, and I'll look at flood zones too. Be surprised how many people I'll send back. Oh, by the way, this is in flood zone AE. You can expect $40,000 in flood premium depending on your lender requirements. And I'll get an email back. Oh, I didn't know it was in a flood zone. So that's your first $40,000 mistake, right? So
that's great. Yeah. So I want to touch on that a little bit, just because, from an insurance standpoint, right? Are there things that we should be looking out for when we're underwriting, and just, say, electrical is probably one that comes to mind, flood zone and things like that, right? And in California, earthquakes, right? I mean, what are some of the major items? And it could be market specific, right? But just like based on what you've seen, what are some of the big ticket items that people don't necessarily see right off the bat, and we should be asking the questions?
Sure. I think the first is location, right? A property in Phoenix is going to have less premium than a property in South Houston. We're in Galveston, right? By the coast, simply because of the just natural disasters that could occur. There's not much that's going to happen in Phoenix, and then in Houston, there's a lot that could happen. So the premiums are going to be much higher. It's going to be much more difficult to get the right insurance policy. Again, that doesn't mean that you don't buy Houston properties. People buy them every day, right? But you just need to know what you're getting into and what you're looking at. And same thing goes with simple things like how old is the roof, right? So if you're from Phoenix, then maybe you're used to having a roof that's 20, 30 years old, because there's just not many things that could go wrong for it. But if you're looking at a property in Dallas, I mean, 10-year-old roofs, that's about as old as you get. And then we get huge hailstorms, 3 or 4 big ones a year, that just destroy these roofs, and you're going to need a new one. So
right.
If you've got a property you're looking at and the roof looks pretty old, I mean, that's going to be your first claim, right? The next storm that comes through, you're going to have to put 10% or 2% of the building value down for your deductible to get a new roof. And it seems like something that, oh, well, of course I would look at, but no, there's so many other things that you're looking at in the spreadsheets that a lot of times something that seems obvious maybe isn't that obvious. So.
Yeah. Are there things that insurance companies would require, a syndicator or an operator to, upon entering the property or entering the deal, that's one of the first things that they need to address? Are there things that insurance companies that kind of require you to do as part of the policies? Is that something that we should be looking out for?
Yeah. So you mentioned the wiring before. So, during, what was it, like 1955 to 1980, they used, a lot of properties had aluminum wiring as opposed to copper wiring, because there was a copper shortage, during that time. Sounded like a great idea. Unfortunately, the aluminum wiring isn't as malleable. So, it's known to break loose from the switches and, cause sparks and fires.
Yep.
And so that's one thing that, that's okay if you want to buy it, but just know that you need to plan your CapEx to go and mitigate those with either pigtail, Kolar, couple of them, to get that fixed. And they're going to want that fixed within, 1 to 3 months. And you're going to want to show them the plan that you have in place,
right.
to get it fixed. Show them, I've got a contractor waiting to go, a licensed electrician to do this. They're going to want to know that. And, I get it. There's a lot of property owners that, this isn't fair. I don't want to have to do this. But as an insurance carrier, they're choosing to insure this property for $20 million or whatever it is.
Right.
And they know that it has fire risks in it. Right. So that's a pretty big risk for them. And you're thinking, well, what are the chances? Well, they can also just say no and insure other properties, right? They don't have to insure this property. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's what they're asking for. We'll give you a certain amount of time to get that fixed and get it done as soon as possible. There's some other items. Usually about a month after you bind coverage, they'll send it's usually a third party. They'll come out and take a look at the property and then suggest different things to fix. A lot of times it's, this big crack in the sidewalk here that someone could trip over, or, this playground is dangerous. We need to get that fixed. And then they'll give you a timeline of, having those issues fixed as well. So.
Gotcha. No,
and again, property owners hate it, but it's keeping you out of trouble. It's keeping you from a, potential claim in the future from these items so that you don't have to, get a lawsuit or something. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all it's talk about cheap insurance, or there's sometimes it's not very cheap, but to your point, if it's keeping you out of potential claims and lawsuits in the future, I think it's a lot of times money well spent, and you got to take those pieces of advice. So kind of moving us along, right? I mean, we get you involved, and we get some quotes, and as we walk through, getting on the contract and doing our due diligence, and some of the things that could potentially let me say that differently. Are there things between when we get you first involved and by the time we close on the deal? I mean, how involved are you, and how involved should you be? And what are some of the things that you want to see during that process to be able to kind of give a solid, here's the premium and here are the conditions, if you would, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I should probably touch on it more, in different events like this that I do. But yeah, so when you first reach out to me, you'll send me the OM, the rent roll. I'll do some underwriting myself from information I can find online. But ultimately, there's still going to be some missing items there. So when you go under contract, first of all, I'll say congratulations. That's awesome. It's hard to do that. Now it's I really do get excited for people, and I know how hard it is. I've had people that I've known for 3 years that I do indications for maybe once a week that still haven't landed a property, right? And so it's just the nature of the game, and I get it. So it is awesome when someone finally gets that, and I know it's going to be a life-changing event for them. So it's pretty cool. But back to your question, so that there's only much information I can get from what I can find. So during due diligence, I'll send you a list of items to look for. One being the roof age, right? You're going to want to get loss runs. Usually carriers will want, if you can get it, 5 years of loss runs for property and general liability. That way we can see if there were any claims or claims activity. We'll want to know, depending on the age of the property, wiring types, when certain things were updated, what type of loan you have, what kind of lender requirements are we looking at, who's your property manager, things like that. And then I'll send you a whole list. That way during due diligence, you can start checking off the list. And send me as much information as you can. And at the start, that way I can start getting it out to carriers and start shopping for you. Carriers are so busy right now that, don't expect it. If you close in 90 days, they're not even going to look at it right now, right? They've got
interesting.
Yeah, they've got so many things that are closing tomorrow, right? But I can start getting the paperwork together, start getting things in order, start letting them know about it. And then, 60 days out, they'll start, asking questions and things like that. And then about 30 days out is when they start really working hard on it and starting to look at it. So
it's interesting because you mentioned the timeline, and as you get closer to the date, I mean, we've all seen it and always complain about it, right? It's like as you get closer, there's surprises that come up, right? I mean, it's whether it's known unknowns or just things that you didn't even know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's name of the game, right? It's mostly just more information you find out. I mean, it kind of you come up with more questions, and you just got to be able to provide answers and kind of look forward to it. It's not a one-time deal that you provide all the information and that's it, right? It's just as you find out more, as you kind of stack the chips, you got to make sure everything's kind of looking all right, and that's where insurance carriers or even lenders, they come up with last minute requests, right? Yeah. Whatever that could be. So,
well, and I will say that my experienced operators will kind of know what I'm going to be asking for. And the things that I'm asking for, they know that I need it. Not, I want it. It would be nice. No, I need this stuff. Like I'll have some kind of inexperienced guys, it's like loss runs. Oh no, it's clean. There's no losses. They said it's good.
Right.
Who's they? The owner? Well, yeah. He said it's good. Well, what if it's not? Wouldn't you want to know as a buyer if there was a huge, double homicide there? Or something crazy that now you're going to be brought into. Don't take his word for it. You want the loss runs just as much as I do, right? I mean, you should.
That's awesome, right?
So yeah, there's some things that you just you need these things, and if you don't have it, then there's usually something sketchy behind why you don't have it and won't get it. Probably 80% of the time, it's because it turns out there was this claim and they were trying to hide it, and they're hiding it from you, not the carriers, right?
Yeah, so. That's right. No, that's right. I think instead of thinking about it as a deal killer, it's actually trying to save you in the future, right?
Well, sure.
It's like you can't have like this immediate mindset of like, I want to close on this property now, but it's like,
Right.
what about in the future, right?
So yeah, and also it gives you and I a chance to renegotiate too, right? Hey, it turns out that you did have a kitchen fire, last year. Is that all fixed? Okay, great. That's going to increase my insurance premiums, and you knew that. So let's knock $100,000 off the purchase price, something like that. But if you didn't know that until after you got into it, you wouldn't have time you wouldn't be able to negotiate, right?
That's a great point. Not everything is fixed in written in stone and fixed, right? So it's definitely fluid until you close on the deal and even continue to operate, which that's kind of what I want to get into now, right? I mean, it's once you get in, right? I mean, that's not that premium, or that's not always going to be the same for the life of the property, right? I mean, there's renewals, there's and based on different natural disasters that happen, or just claims, to your point, right? It's some instances, right? What are some things that kind of happen, whether it's, big ticket items like natural disasters or maybe just local claims? What are some of the things that kind of impact once you're in a property, right? I mean, year over year, what are some things that could impact your premiums? And, is that something we could even look out for, right? I mean, we always kind of build in, 3% escalation on expenses, right? I mean, not necessarily don't look at insurance or anything else to just significantly increase, but I'm sure it happens more often than we think, right?
Yeah.
What are some things that we got to be looking out for?
Yeah. So, the natural disasters, there's not much you can do, but you want to make sure that your deductibles are in a way that, you can afford them in the event that something does happen. So if you are on the coast, if you can avoid it, don't have a 10% named storm deductible. So when a hurricane comes through and it demolishes your property, you can afford to pay your deductible. At 10%, even 5%, you're almost self-insuring. So yes, it's going to be more expensive to have a lower deductible, but I mean, do you want to continue to have this property or not?
Right.
I think that, you also want, and the trips and falls and the tenants that are trying to get you, that always happens. There's always that property. Just do the best you can. Know that railing that's a little loose, tighten it, be proactive on everything that you're doing. If you can't fix that huge crack in the sidewalk yet that someone's going to trip over, maybe on purpose, right? At least paint it bright yellow so they see it,
That's right.
Until you can get it fixed. I think the best thing is just to be proactive with it. Now, there are times where the premium changes in a good way, right? You had that fire loss from the previous owner. Now it's older than 5 years. Guess what? It's gone now. It's gone. They don't look past 5 years. Now you don't have that. Now it opens up the market so I can go to a lot more carriers rather than just the 5 that will look at, recent fire losses. And so you could look forward to lower premiums. Different markets for us open up, and I'm able to move it to a new carrier because now their appetite's changed and they do write 1980s builds in Dallas, so I can always move it when at renewal when we're shopping it to get a lower premium as well. And my job is also to bring the narrative of the ownership group, property and management, the CapEx items, and different things that you're doing to the property to show these carriers how great of a group you are and how they want to insure this property as well. So
Gotcha.
Maybe you got a property in Atlanta, it's a high crime area, but I've installed better lighting, security cameras, we've got better fencing, we've got gates in here, we've got a courtesy patrol that comes by throughout the night. Certain things that you've done to improve the property. And, maybe that won't help right off the bat, but after a while they start seeing, yeah, you did all these items just like you said you would. Yeah, let's lower the rate a little bit, or maybe another carrier now is willing to write it, and that lowers your premium. So
no, I mean, I think you touched on it, but just mitigating risk in my mind is huge, right? I mean, the money you spend, it's not just dollars, right? I mean, you're mitigating risk, whether it's by doing capex or regular maintenance on your property. It's you're constantly trying to mitigate that risk of that. Obviously, not only for tenants, right? I mean, tenants are to me, they're my main client, right? Yeah. It's they're the ones that are living on our property, and we want to make it as enjoyable for them as possible. Yeah. But mitigating risk make sure everybody is safe, and they go about their day.
Yeah. But also you want to vet your tenants too, right? You want to know what kind of tenants you're bringing in there, and a lot of this falls on your property management company. I can't tell you how important a good property management company is key to success. Almost 75% of the success of these are the good property management companies. Yeah. Things like that tenant was an issue, being verbally abusive to a neighbor. Did you address it then? And if not, the next time that there's an issue and someone is in a fight or whatever, now you could be in a lawsuit because you didn't address it before, and everybody knew that this guy was a problem. You That's knew right. it, you had to document it, and yet you did nothing, right? And so
That's right.
Property management companies are huge. You've got to get a good one.
That's huge. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm assuming the insurance companies look at that as well, right? I mean, we kind of briefly touched on it, but it's one of your key components of running a smooth operation at your property. So
I want to touch on this real quick, and I don't say it enough. Yeah. Small kitchen fires or big kitchen fires are going to happen. Their grease catches on fire. We see it all the time. They sell a product called stovetop fire stops. Okay. So you can get these. I think they're like $8 on Amazon, and what they do is they you've got a magnet on it, and you magnet it up to the vent hood, and so you don't need a licensed contractor to do this. Your property management company can do it to all the units, and it's got fire retardant in it. And as soon as the flames hit it, then it extinguishes whatever's
that's
on
pretty
the stove.
Cool. I've never heard of that. That's pretty awesome.
Carriers used to offer discounts if you had it. But it doesn't matter if there's a discount or not. To put it on there so that it can stop those fires right away. I think something crazy. It's like 85% of all property claims are these small kitchen fires. There's so many people in each unit cooking all the time. It's gonna happen eventually. So add this very inexpensive device. Stick it on those vent hoods, and it'll save you a ton of time.
That's huge. This whole conversation, if there was one major item that anyone can take away, is that it's going to save hundreds of thousands, if not millions. For sure.
I need to start getting royalties from this company.
Yeah, no kidding. Absolutely. I'll definitely look it up, and when I do a post, I'll even put the Amazon link for everybody to kind of take a look as well. So that's huge. Thank you for that. All right. I mean, that's all the things I had. I could talk to you all day about insurance or just like real estate. But before we kind of end this, I want to make sure that everyone has access to you. And how does everybody get in touch with you?
The best way is through email. My email is jtlynch, Lynch, at ramyking.com. And Ramy is spelled RAM as in Mary, EY, and then king.com.
Perfect. And I'll put that in the comments and the chat as well for everybody else to see. But yeah, like I said, JT is awesome. Just there's never been a time where I've sent something over and I didn't have anything within 24 hours at the latest. It was just like I probably have had something from JT before I finished underwriting the property. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Just that alone is awesome. Like I mentioned, JT, we got to have you out here at one of our events here locally as well. So
yeah, I'd love to.
Whenever you have time, we'd love to get in touch with you and come out here in person.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks for coming on, and we'll be talking soon, I'm sure.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, JT.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching today's episode of the True Wealth Project, and I hope you enjoyed today's guest as well. If you want to catch more of these episodes, be sure to like and subscribe us on YouTube as well as other podcast platforms. You can also get in touch with me by following me on Instagram at official Sam Khairi, or you can send me an email at sam@aftocapital.com. That's sam@aftocapital.com. See you soon.